Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom, and today, how can J.J. McCarthy play spoiler down the stretch?
Julia Daniels, KARE 11 sports reporter. You go from playing the Commanders to heading to Jerry's world. We will see how the momentum either stays the same or shifts.
Reggie Wilson, KARE 11 sports director, and Kevin O'Connell, not the biggest fan of 9. Just wants JJ to go out there and play some good football.
The Commanders defense and the Cowboys defense do something very similar. Can JJ McCarthy take advantage of it for another week?
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What is up? Happy Wednesday. Glad you're with us on the Viking Squad Show, our KARE 11 Spectacular. We do this every Wednesday. The Squad Show is on Mondays. It's on Thursdays as well. And after the games, giving you a full hour of Vikings content with the best local analysts. Today, it's Reggie, it's Julia, it's Ron, and it's brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. We are streaming live on the Locked On Vikings YouTube channel. Find our audio on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed wherever you get your podcasts. Listen to Luke Braun daily, giving you your 30-minute dose of Vikings football. It's all part of the #1 sports podcast network. Before the show is done, we'll tell you how J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings can play spoiler the final 4 games of the season. What's our wish list for JJ in this month of December? What's in the stocking that we want JJ to pull out? Also, Cowboys storylines coming up, Sunday Night Football, Jerry's World, Cowboys playoff hopes on life support as well, and Harrison Smith possibly entering his final National Football League games. We discuss his legacy coming off his first interception of the year on Sunday. But let's go back to Sunday, because that's a good place to be. That's a positive place to be. We haven't experienced joy in Vikings land for a long time, so let's revel in it. Let's go back 72 hours to when the Vikings were winning 31-0, their first shutout in a couple of years. Julia, I know you and Reggie covered that game closely for KARE 11. What was your favorite part of the win?
I think it's just, and I think I tweeted this right when the game was starting. Just J.J. McCarthy looked comfortable finally. He felt like the first drive, in the first drive and touchdown, obviously that's going to give you a confidence boost. But before they even scored, he just looked more comfortable out there. And it's something that I think Vikings fans have been wanting to see from him for a while. I think he's been striving towards that, but he's not been able. It's just, and I've talked to a few of my friends about this. It's like watching him gives everybody anxiety constantly. And this was even before they saw him fail in any kind of way. This was week 1 versus the Bears. And finally we saw him come out of the tunnel. And then immediately it's like, okay, he's comfortable. He knows what's going on. He's finding his targets. He's making decisions. And it was like, this is the expectation that everybody had for him from the beginning. And now we're finally seeing it come to fruition. And so it almost felt like, I'm just somebody that covers a team, but you're like, this is what I feel like everyone's been waiting for. And now we're finally seeing him go out there and make the moves that I feel like we saw flashes of, but it was like the consistency of a full game of feeling like he can come out there and he has control of the offense and he knows what's going on and he's aware of his surroundings and he's able to make precise decisions that work out for the team. And it's like, okay, yay, we know he can do it, I even said, it's against the Commanders, or one of the worst teams in football right now. But you playing any team in the NFL when you're at the stage that J.J. McCarthy's at, you need a game like this. You need a game like this to boost your confidence, to get you going, and also just to give you an idea of what it's like to be comfortable, confident, and to win football games. And I think that it was crucial for him on Sunday, and it was just nice to finally see it from him.
Reg, it's amazing how it all comes together when the offense just shows a little bit of competency. Didn't have to be great, But you move the chains a few times, suddenly your defense gets a little more of a break. Your running game gets going. Defense is fresh. They're playing with the lead. They get some takeaways. It all is connected. It's all interconnected in what we call complementary football.
Yeah, it was good to see. I think one of the big things that stood out to me was that 19-play, 98-yard drive. And they came to those weighty downs, as Kevin O'Connell likes to call them, and each and every time they delivered, whether it was, Kevin calling up the right play on those short yard downs. He didn't overthink it. He didn't try to get too cute. He lined it up and ran the ball because they can run the ball effectively. And then when they had to have the throws, McCarthy stood right there in the gun, talking about his mechanics and all that. Doesn't matter. Stood there right in the gun and just delivered strikes. And it was a very encouraging thing to see him just continue to convert those third downs. And when they needed a play, they could count on him to make a play. And I saw some of the football nerds, especially my guy Arif Hassan, still talking about the mechanics and the fundamentals. And, look, there may be times that, that might come back to bite him. The leg whip and the base not being, there, and him overcompensating with his arm and maybe selling some throws like that. That could be a thing. But I think what was nice about what JJ McCarthy did was he just looked like he was comfortable. He didn't look too wiry. He didn't look like he was overthinking things, and he just went out there and played ball. I think, Kevin O'Connell talked about the day before playing for the 16-year-old version of yourself, and Harrison Smith talked about in the locker room after the game how that really resonated with people. Even got Harrison Smith like in tears in the locker room because he's just like, man, I've been playing football for a long time. Like, you could tell like he's really passionate about this game, even at this late stage in his career, and it still meant a lot to him to just go out there and have fun with his guys. And I think that was probably the best part about it. Everybody just played loose, and that was what is the result when you see guys just playing for each other, playing together, and just having fun.
Yeah, Ron, we talked about it on your show yesterday. We weren't asking for a lot. We weren't asking for 300 yards. We were just asking for some good decisions, some mistake-free football, and we're talking about a 160-yard performance here from McCarthy, but it stands out, probably his best as a pro.
Well, I mean, it goes back to Kevin O'Connell. So I've said this for a while now, like there's been a lack of quick game. And when you think about, and I talked to Wes Phillips about this, I'm like, man, we even joked about when his granddad, Bum Phillips, played against my dad, Steelers Oilers. That's really old for the Oilers days. But we talked about like the route tree back then with, Billy White Shoes Johnson and Lynn Swan and John Stallworth. And it was like hitches, slants, goes, curls. And then I'm like, what's the deal with the current stage of football and every new coach trying to get tricky? And he said, well, coverages have changed. You don't have basic coverages, but at the end of the day, it's how much can a quarterback attain and then regurgitate and then activate. You think about, and nothing against Hall of Fame guys, but you think about some of the old quarterbacks. They didn't have the ability to think as quick and probably do some of the stuff these guys are doing. It's just a different like footage, TV. You can see the whole field now versus film back in the day. And so when I look at J.J. McCarthy, the one thing that I noticed is Kevin O'Connell, right? He made it pretty simple for him. You didn't see him come to the line of scrimmage and can or kill. Only thing he did was opposite. Opposite is the simplest way to get out of a play, which is I'm going to just go from right to left. If it's 4 guys on my right, 3 on my left, I'm an opposite, and I'm going to go left. That's it. But when I say opposite, the defense doesn't really know either. Now there's a hot and a cold. But when you think about all those calls, right, before he was coming to the line of scrimmage, he was picking the mic, then he was changing the protection, then he was trying to do this. And I think that's where Kevin O'Connell said he was really good at it, but then did it mess him up in what the actual play is supposed to do now because he was so caught up in trying to be perfect pre-snap. Now it's less of that and it's more of what covers do you have? What are your 3 route options? Just go to the first one you see. And I think that's where it's simplified for J.J. McCarthy. 163 yards is nothing to write home to mom about. Andrew Luck, I know he used to always write his mom a letter, dearest mother. You would not see that letter going home at 163 yards. But the 3 touchdowns in the red zone is key. The 3 tight ends being used, because we talked about that for a while now, those big bodies not using your tight ends. The one thing that I want to see this week and like for the next stage progression of this is either you got to scheme Justin Jefferson open, or you just got to know this is when we can go to Justin Jefferson because of the coverage and the way it dictates. And the one thing about the Commanders and the Cowboys is they both suck on defense. Like, they both are terrible defensively when you think about the Cowboys have the bodies, but I think they're going through a Micah Parsons, I don't even know what you call
withdrawal.
that. Yeah, maybe something. It's almost like, it's like we traded Micah. Our offense, their offense is killing it. And their defense is like, we don't have Micah, so what do you want us to do about it? Like, I'm not going to get after the quarterback right now. Like, I don't really feel like covering this guy for 4 seconds. Like, where's Micah? I need somebody to rush the quarterback. Like, so it's when you watch them on film, it's extremely weird because, like, the DBs are there, but then the defensive line is just like, oh, wait, no, there's no Micah? Wait, we got to rush? Coach, I don't want to rush. Like, it's very odd because the offense, like Dak, CD, even though he's out right now with the concussion, but George Pickens, like, they are balling. The Cavender twins' husband, Jake Ferguson, like, when you put Jake Ferguson on an island in the slot, he's unguardable. But then the defense comes out there and they're like, yeah, let's just make this a 40-40 game because our parlays haven't paid off yet. So that's the interesting about J.J. McCarthy is, like, he's going to have to trust what he sees with the Cowboys defense because sometimes you're like, there's no way this guy is open. And they're open. And the teams that are beating the Cowboys are the teams that are taking those chances. And that's what's going to come down to J.J. McCarthy. Like, last week, there was no chances needed with the Commanders. This week, there's going to be those chances, and then we're going to need to see, does he have it, right? Does he have the ability to get a ball out quicker? Because even on that corner out to Jordan Addison, everybody's praising, right? High, low. Justin Jefferson runs the out. Corner jumps it because the corner's stupid. And then Jordan Addison's wide open on the corner. He still threw it a little bit late. He threw it late, and he threw it back downhill. I get the down the hill throw to keep it away from the safety, but if you throw it earlier, Jordan Addison probably catches that in stride and can get up the sideline. So, again, it's just him trying to think a little bit quicker, trying to see it a little bit sooner, but it comes down with reps. And again, I'm not going to go back to the Drew Brees thing. Everybody's heard that story with Drew Brees on the broadcast talking about his 4th year. His first 2 years, and not the Doug Flutie year. The next 2 years, my rookie year, my second year, we played them. He wasn't great. He was good, but he wasn't great yet.
We also established yesterday that Ron played Phillip Rivers in his day. And Phillip Rivers is coming back to play football.
Phillip Rivers killed us in Miami. I'll never forget that in a bowl game. NC State versus Minnesota. We were up at halftime 24 to like nothing, I think, and we lost 31-30. It was pretty bad. Or 37, either 31-30 or 37-30, but we lost. And that was Corn Robinson for those Minnesota Vikings fans that remember Corn Robinson getting drunk and drinking a whole bottle of vodka and then showing up to practice. That was before Julius' time. But yeah, Corn Robinson was a beast at NC State. He was good in the NFL, but couldn't put the bottle down.
Childhood Sam was crushed at that NC State bowl game loss. I remember that one.
Well, I had my fake tattoo. I got henna tattoos for that game and everything. I was out there like,
God.
Oh yeah, we were in Miami. We was in Miami. Like, they had henna. We're like, okay, let's get some henna. Everybody on the team, when it got tatted up, we went out there 24-0. We're like, oh, this is nothing. And then Phillip Rivers was activated, and that was his sophomore year, by the way, too. So after that, he became a legend. Nobody knew Phillip Rivers until that comeback, and they're like, "Wait, who is this 17 shot putting the ball out there like that?" He was probably on kid number 4 by then.
I was gonna say, how many children do you have?
No kidding.
I think he only had like 1 right then in college. I think he only had the 1.
Yeah,
and then after that, it just took off.
Yeah, everybody's talking about mechanics, and Phillips is probably as bad as you see, but he played on time and he had a good base, I guess. So like he was always accurate with the football. 60,000 yards later, so that maybe there's some hope with McCarthy. Also, Sam, just kind of wanted to give some love too. We talked about best part of Sunday's win. The Vikings lost 4 straight games, and for a good portion of those games, the defense played good enough to win. And I think it was good to see that they were able to kind of see their hard work pay off. I think it's they've given up the 5th fewest touchdowns in the league this year, 25, and like they're losing all these games because the offense couldn't just play competent enough, and they never complain. We talked to them week after week in those games, and they never complain. Josh Mattel is like, hey, we know what the offense is capable of. We know that they'll put it together each and every week. And week after week, the offense was terrible, but they were still doing their jobs. That game against Seattle, if the offense had done anything, the defense was playing well enough to try to win that game. But, we saw what the result was. And so finally seeing the turnovers, they win the turnover margin. We hadn't really seen a game like that since like week 3 against the Bengals when Isaiah Rodgers, went off like he did. And so it was good to see them get the 3 turnovers, vintage Gink performance, jumping that route. Isaiah Rodgers killed Jaden Daniels on the play. Like, the defense played really well, but they've been playing pretty well this season, and we just haven't seen the wins come from it. Finally got to see a win come from their efforts on Sunday.
Yeah, I know that people want to knock the defense for being old and expensive, but I actually think there's some upside for the defense next year if they're a little healthier, because they lost a couple linebackers, safety. Harrison Smith didn't start the year healthy, both edge rushers, Okuda. Like, if they're a little healthier, and the ball's got to bounce their way a little more next year,
and they
right?
can't be playing 20 more minutes than their offense does.
Yeah,
it's just not sustainable.
Which is why I think there's upside. There's upside for next year. If this group is back in large part next year, I actually think there's some upside with the defense playing this way on a more consistent basis if the offense just shows up. I think Ron led us into a nice organic segue into our next topic, which is, how do we feel good about the quarterback situation heading into next year based on what McCarthy does in the final 4 games? We answer that next on the Squad Show. We are brought to you today by Mint Mobile. There's no reason to let big wireless drain your wallet, especially during the holidays. Right now, Mint Mobile is running their best deal of the year. All of their unlimited plans are 50% off. That means you can lock in 3, 6, even 12 months of unlimited premium wireless for just $15 a month. It's the easiest way to take your overpriced phone bill and give it the full Scrooge treatment. And what makes this even better is how simple Mint makes the switch. No contracts, no nonsense, just real savings, real quality service. When your phone bill is getting bloated, you feel like the service isn't very good, maybe the phone's breaking down, maybe you've had it for a few years, it's slowing down. You want something that's faster, more reliable, you take on the go. Set up Mint. Takes just a few minutes, same coverage, lower price. Turn your expensive wireless present into a huge wireless savings future by switching to Mint. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required, $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees, initial plan, term only, 35 gigabytes, may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com.
Heck of a read, Sam.
Thank
Heck
you.
Of a read.
Thank you. We're feeling it this morning on a roll. We've got 4 games left in this season. Cowboys, Giants, Packers, Lions. What needs to happen specifically for the quarterback for us to feel pretty good going into next year? So like, what's on the checklist? Because I like to say that when you're new to football, you're checking boxes. You're accomplishing things for the first time. So this last week, the first interception-free game for J.J. McCarthy, check. Ron, what are the other boxes that need to be checked before the end of the year?
So checking boxes. Okay, so here's where I go. And again, I go back to this. So I love the analogy that I never thought about this. In my opinion, quick game was simple. But what I was told this past weekend on the sideline is that quick game also requires the quarterback to think quick. So if he can master, and here's the thing about quick game, right? It's thinking quick, but it also helps your offensive line out. And I think that's what we noticed this game too. The offensive line didn't have to block. I think I brought this up with Sam. Weeks before this, J.J. McCarthy's time to throw was like 3.14. Caleb Williams was 3.29. And we know Caleb Williams was more so because he scrambles. This past week, J.J. McCarthy was at 2.5, which is extremely fast to get the ball out of his hands. That's on an average. 2.5, he was getting the ball out of his hands. One of which was probably the Ty Felton. I think the other one was the Justin Jefferson negative 2-yard play. But again, 2.5 seconds. So meaning he's getting the ball and he's thinking quick. He's spinning the ball, getting the laces to where he needs them, and he's letting the ball go. That requires him to think fast. What that's going to do, hopefully, is put him in position when it was 7-step drops, 5-step drops, to still think quick, to know right away, okay, here's where the play goes. Now let me just relax. Because we heard the Max Brosmer, he's thinking too fast and he's throwing it before he's supposed to throw it. Okay, that's not good. So, and I'm so annoyed. I don't know if you guys heard Pat McAfee's yesterday, but Max Brosmer is now a verb. When they were talking about the Colts, because they're Colts fans. Well, a couple of the guys are. Darius Butler played for the Colts. Pat McAfee played for the Colts, and they were like talking about Phillip Rivers and then what other quarterback could they play, Riley Leonard, so on and so forth. And they were like, as long as we don't get the Brosmer experience, I was like, oh, no.
Didn't even pronounce the name right, huh?
I know. They killed his name and put him as a verb. Like, we don't want to get Brosmered. But they said Brosmered. I was like, oh, my guy did not become a verb. Like, no. So, but they were just saying like the whole, like when the rush comes, just throwing it because you don't want to get sacked. And I'm like I know Max, but I'm like, damn, from the outside looking in, that's what it looks like. Like, I don't want to get hit. Let me just get rid of this. I don't want this one. And so when you think about that for J.J. McCarthy, like what does he have to do? I think he just has to continue to play fast. Like these last 4 weeks, there's nothing like real, like in order to make the playoffs at this point, they have to win every game. We know that. They also need help from other teams to knock some of these other like the 7 and the 6 seeds out, because they're not going to win the division. So they're going to need the 7 and 6 to be knocked out. And the hard part is the Bears, Packers, and Lions are all probably in the playoffs the way this is going to play out. So with that said, they're going to need one of those 3 to start losing the rest of these games. And then they also need to beat that team, which I think the only option they have at this point is the Packers. Or the Lions, I guess. They play the Lions and the Packers. So they need one of the Packers or the Lions, because the Bears are out of reach, but they need the Lions or the Packers to kind of lose. But the Packers winning recently, that screws that up. So at this point, it's like we need Lions to lose and they need to beat the Lions. Not going to happen. So if it's not going to happen, what do? Just go out there and look good. Like, play these games well. But that's what I need to see. I need to see quick thinking, throwing the ball on time. When you see you have the route, like throw it before he breaks, because we haven't seen that as much as we should have.
Julia.
We all expected the Bears are out of reach.
Man.
We all went into the year expecting.
This is the upside down. This is the worst timeline. Julia, what's on your wish list?
My wish list for JJ McCarthy is the development of the JJ to JJ connection. They got to figure that out. They have to. This is for a multitude of reasons. Number one, because that is how you will consistently win football games, is if you and Justin Jefferson can figure out how to make this thing work, guys. Go to counseling. I don't know. Like, I don't know happening here. And I think that comes from, I mean, it's the building of the relationship, but I don't think that they trust each other. I think that they can look us in the face all the time and say that they do, but I don't think that they do. And it's just something that we haven't seen, despite all of the efforts, the going to the Timberwolves games, the spending off-season time together. I don't think that they spent enough off-season time together. I think we saw J.J. McCarthy working out with Adam Thielen, and we didn't see video of him.
How did that work out? How did that work out?
Exactly. You know, I think it's just something that something's got to give at some point. Otherwise, and I hate to say it, but like, this is still the real world. Like, Justin Jefferson, do I think he's a wonderful person, a wonderful teammate, obviously an incredible receiver? Yes. But how much do you go through before you say, enough, I want to go somewhere else? I'm not saying that he's at that point yet, but they have to figure something out before he gets to that point. And so I would hope that the next 4 games, like, they can figure that out, because if you want to consistently win with the Vikings, you have to get the ball to Justin Jefferson. And I don't know. It just it makes for at the end of the day, at the bottom of it all too, that's the most entertaining football that you see out of the Vikings too, is when Justin Jefferson has the ball. And so that's what I wish for Vikings fans and for JJ McCarthy, that they can build a relationship. I mean, you can see something like Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs happen here in Minnesota, and people will make TikTok edits and Twitter videos talking about how great they are together and the love that they have for each other, and how it's all panning out on the field for them. What you see, just that's what I wish for these Vikings fans, because a lot of other quarterbacks have made it work with Justin Jefferson, and JJ McCarthy, since I've been covering the Vikings, is one of the first ones to not have success with that yet so far.
So JJ says, "Hey Justin, I know, like, I got this new baby at home, I got the new wife, but you're moving in. We got the guest room. You're moving in over the summer. We're gonna
just
hang
sold
out.
Your townhouse. Come on,
gonna run
over.
some routes in the backyard, in between like dad duty. Yeah, we're just gonna chill. We're gonna hang out. I like it. We also got to get Justin Jefferson 1,000 yards, like
Yeah.
kind of Mike Evans style. We got to sneak him into the 1,000-yard club this year so he can keep that streak going. Needs 190 yards in the last 4 games. That's not a huge ask. That's less than 50 a game. I think we can do it. That'd be another nice reason. Reggie, what do you got?
Justin Jefferson has the bigger house probably right now, so maybe McCarthy and his family need to move into his house. That probably is the thing there. Also, shout out Mike Evans. That streak is that streak is over this year, and I hate it. Future Hall of Fame wide receiver, definitely get Jets there. I think that's the tough part about it, man. And Justin's been such a consummate professional, 2 catches for 4 yards against Seattle, 2 catches for 11 yards this past game. Like, how can you not figure out how to get this guy the football? Like, it was interesting. Justin Jefferson, butt naked, open, streaking down the sideline. Like, probably should have let that thing rip. It's become fodder on X. Did he have enough time to rip it? Did he not? He scrambled for 16 yards. Like, that was the thing. I think that was something that you saw on Sunday, that you're like, okay, like, he got the ball to his tight ends, which was great. We haven't seen a whole lot of that this season out of any of the quarterbacks. But now, you got these all-well receivers, Addison, Jefferson, Naylor, and they're just not getting the ball consistently. And I think that's, to Julia's point, that's something that you want to see. Yeah, 190 yards to the best receiver in football should not be difficult at all. Like, find a way to get that guy the ball. And it's so funny because he did end up trying to connect with Jets on a deep touchdown throw that they just couldn't connect on after the play that he missed Jefferson on. I think that's kind of what you are missing. I remember I covered Joe Burrow his rookie year in Cincinnati, and he was one of the worst deep ball throwers in the league that year. Then he tore his ACL against Washington, and the season was over. They go out, they get Jamar Chase, and all of a sudden Joe Burrow's one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL. Like, it's just kind of crazy how it worked. I think you get McCarthy more time on task, and that's my wish list for McCarthy. Health. Like, you want to see him actually be able to finish out this year, because Kevin O'Connell talked about it yesterday with PA. And by the way, I mentioned this on X last night, but Kevin O'Connell and PA on Tuesdays have almost become like a confessional every week, because we get way more from Kevin O'Connell talking to PA in that intimate setting with those headphones on than we get at any other point during the week when we hear from Kevin O'Connell in pressers and anything like that. Like, he gives so much insight to like what he's thinking, what the process is, his most intimate thoughts on JJ McCarthy. If you go on JJ McCarthy's page right now on Instagram, his profile, he has dug his heels in. You know, he's online. You know, he sees all the memes, and I feel bad for, you know, all the memes that JJ McCarthy is having to endure right now, because they are everywhere. But if you go to his profile on Instagram right now, the only thing in his bio right now is the number 9. That's it. That's it. And Kevin O'Connell was talking to PA yesterday, and he was like, look, I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate the alter ego stuff, but let's chill on some of that stuff and just go out there and be a football player, play on time, play in rhythm, and give me a chance to continue to call these plays in a sequence that we've practiced on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday into the game. And I thought it was interesting that he talked about how JJ McCarthy is just a natural overthinker. And he's like, look, yeah, I'm trying to anticipate this. And, you know, he mentioned his Michigan teammate. I know Sam Steele is an instinctive player. So, like, you know, he is a person who might try to do this. And he was like, just stop. Just stop. Stop overthinking so much. Just do the play that's called and live to play another game, another play. And I think he even, you know, fans were like, oh, he oversimplified the offense. And he even confirmed that with PA, saying like, yeah, we did simplify the offense, but it's not about that. It's about him executing the plays as called and keeping the sticks moving so that we can continue to make positive plays on offense, which gives the defense a negative. And so I thought it was very interesting yesterday hearing him talk to PA, because it did kind of feel like a confessional. But I think his wish list for McCarthy is to, number one, have good health, and then number two, just continue to take those strides. He mentioned several weeks ago with PA that he was ready for some of the cement to dry. And he even, you know, to his point, or to his credit, he recognized himself, to Ron's point. Yeah, I may be a detriment to his progress right now. And so let me roll it back. Let's not talk about all the mechanics and fundamentals and all that, and just talk about his execution of the plays. And as you said, Sam, he went out there and we saw him not turn the ball over for the first time in his professional career. It's something to that. Keep building that forward. Keep, you know, building on that momentum with good health, and just continue to execute the plays. And maybe we'll see something over 250 yards one day before the season is over.
He's got to 248. He's almost there. It's coming.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just got to get a little nudge. I just want to see him spoil one rival's playoff hopes. You got Detroit on Christmas. You got Green Bay just after New Year's. I want to see him dash their hopes and make those fan bases cry. I think we got to move to the Cowboys scouting report and start.
Hey, the one thing I will say though too about Kevin O'Connell, before you move to that, I just want to reiterate or add on to what Reggie said. The one thing Kevin O'Connell did that he had not been doing was on first down, he stopped trying to go big. Like on first down during the season, I don't know why he was trying to go big. He was trying to make huge plays. You look at the Seahawks and what they do with Sam Darnold. When we broke their stuff down on the pregame show, it's basic. Their first down plays are extremely basic. It's let me get 8 yards. Let me get 7 yards. Let me get 10 yards. Let me get 12 yards. Let me throw a 7-yard slant and let the receiver run for 11 yards. It was simple. The Vikings this past week on first down, 0 turnovers. 0. Weeks 1 through 12, 3% of those plays were turnovers. That's way too high for just first down. 3% of your first down plays are turnovers. Like that literally is like 9 interceptions on first down. Like they were the worst team with interceptions on first down. It's extremely sad. And I think Kevin O'Connell might have realized that too when he says it's his fault. It is your fault. Like on first down, 7 interceptions, 2 fumbles on first down. That was it. 7 interceptions on first down, which means the other downs are not really throwing interceptions. So that means on first down, you're doing too much. And I think that was the key. He finally like, let me just ease into this first down, let me get 6-7 yards, and then let me move on to the next play.
Ron, how much do you think that's kind of killing Kevin O'Connell? Because, like, when he had Sam Darnold last year and Kirk Cousins in years past, like, he was able to attack in the way that he was trying to do on first downs this season, but it just didn't result in the success that he wanted. How much do you feel like it's like killing him that he's had to kind of roll things back?
A little bit, but here's the thing. The Dan Campbell experience with Jared Goff, watch Jared Goff's first, second down plays to start games. That's the reason why he can go 8 for 8, 7 for 7 every single game. It's easy throws. Like, he's not going out there throwing 90-yard daggers on first down just to show the world, look at my offense. Like, Dan Campbell's like, and that was Ben Johnson. Look at Caleb Williams. Like, it's a correlation. Caleb Williams is coming out, and it's like, oh, let me take this one right here to DJ Moore. Oh, let me take this one right here to Cole Kmet. It's real simple to start the game, and then you get into it. That's the difference. Is Kevin O'Connell kind of comes out like a dude that just snorted an 8-ball. It's like, okay, we're gonna go. Like, it's like, just relax. Let me ease into. Let me throw a hitch or a slant, and then let me get to a dig, and now let me go to a dagger post. Now let me go to a corner route. Now let me go to a bang 8. Okay, now you can run corner post with a seam up the sideline and you're running back. Like, you got to ease into it. And I think that's what we saw this past week. He eased into it. I hate to use this analogy, but I treat it like, when people first start dating, you don't come out the gate and give her like a freaking $10,000 gift out the gate. No, you slow it down. You go to a nice little dinner first, maybe some flowers, maybe some candy or something. You go to a movie. You don't jump out there and say, oh, here's a $5,000 tennis bracelet. Like, no. Like, because now you have nothing to go back on. And then all of a sudden when you show up with like a Lululemon hoodie, she's like, really? This is it? Like, what happened to the Lamborghini next? Like, that's where Kevin O'Connell leaves no room for his quarterbacks to kind of ease into the relationship of the game. He just, boom, we're going to go. And maybe this is a learning experience for him.
You're saying he love bombed J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback.
He did. But here's the thing. Like, he did it with Sam Darnold, but look what Sam Darnold was. He was what? Year 8, year 7?
Yeah.
Like, Sam could do it.
He knew it. Like, Jared Goff going from the Rams, got him to a Super Bowl, go to the Lions. Ben Johnson's like, oh, wait, I can work with this. Caleb Williams got to play for a whole year, screwed it up completely, 68 sacks. Now look at him. He's like, all right, let me throw the ball away. Let me stop trying to outrun guys that run a 4.5, unless it's Blake Cashman and he pulls his hamstring. But other than that, like, that's where these quarterbacks and coaches need to learn is like, everybody's not like Kirk Cousins came in and Kevin O'Connell made him great. Why? Because Kirk had been in the league for a while. Like, it takes time to get to that. And again, I hate to say it, but it's Drew Brees saying it out of his own mouth. Like, I was terrible my first 3 years. Like, I said this to Sam yesterday. If J.J. McCarthy finished the season with 11 touchdowns and 16 interceptions, I think everybody would be like, ugh, we need a quarterback. Yeah, that's what Drew Brees was. Drew Brees was 11 and 16. Nobody batted an eye.
I feel like Kevin O'Connell, this has been a big learning lesson for him. And I posed this question last night on Care 11, like, how differently could this season have been if he had like come to these senses like sooner and really tried to change the offense to fit what McCarthy is right now instead of just continuing to try to run the offense that he wanted to run? Like, could we have seen a couple more wins, and could we see a team that is still trying to like backdoor his way into a playoff spot as opposed to a team that has a less than 1% chance?
We're going to move to our Cowboys scouting report and storylines. We have a resident Cowboys expert on the panel. We'll get to that next. Brought to you today by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. You're going off the vibes. You're going off the momentum. Every highlight creates an opportunity for you to cash in. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. You sense that a receiver is about to get hot. Maybe the defense is tightening up. You can take some live unders. It's live spreads. It's live money lines. It's live props. All available in FanDuel's live betting options. Next touchdown scorers, next drive results, very fun as well. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com. Place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Squad show rolls on. Make sure to check out Luke Braun and Locked On Vikings 5 days a week. Vikings Cowboys Sunday night. Julia Daniels, you probably know more about the plight of the Cowboys this year than any of us. Why don't you give us your read on this game? Cowboys need to probably run the table? We're probably run the table to make the playoffs. So this is urgency time for them.
Yeah, because they have to win the NFC East in order to be in. So they're in kind of a bit of a dire situation right now. But if we're talking about storylines for this game in particular, Jerry Jones, he does all the press and everything, and he was talking about Trayvon Diggs. Basically, it's up to if Trayvon gets a full week of practice in and then he feels good, they're like, sure, whatever, you can go out there and play. So I think I have two different storylines that I'm thinking of when I think of this matchup. I love the matchup of Trayvon Diggs and Justin Jefferson just because it goes so far back, right? It goes all the way back to 2018, 2019 Alabama LSU games, which if you guys remember a few weeks ago, Justin Jefferson had talked about, to him, the Green Bay game felt like when LSU would play Alabama. Like when I was in college, obviously Iron Bowl is huge for Alabama fans, but for LSU, their big game, which it was SEC on CBS, everyone's big night game of the year between Alabama and LSU was always the Alabama LSU game. All the way until I think my senior year when Georgia and Notre Dame actually had that game. But I digress. Nope. Yeah. It was Georgia and Notre Dame because no one expected Joe Burrow to come in and be the phenomenon that he was his last year. Anyways, so this is a matchup. Like these guys have been playing against each other since they were 19, 20, 21 years old. And so that's something that if Trayvon Diggs comes back, I think is always entertaining. Good to see. The last time that the Vikings played the Cowboys, was that 2022?
Andy Dalton beat the Vikings here during the pandemic. Cooper Rush.
But then 2022 was that was when they the Vikings had a horrible showing that night.
22 they obliterated the Vikings.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's interesting. The other storyline, I think this game is so crucial just in terms of how the Vikings and JJ McCarthy are perceived by everybody because they've started this momentum for themselves. And should they perform well and should JJ perform well on Sunday, especially at Jerry's World versus the Cowboys, I think that sets a totally different tone from what it has been for the entire season. And so I think that should they go in, pull off a win against, and Ron's right, their defense is terrible. And so there's opportunity there for, I think when you look at it on paper, maybe it looks a little bit daunting just because the Cowboys have that name to them. But I think the Vikings definitely have a chance to go in there and do that. It's going to also come down to this Vikings defense has to execute the way that they did this past week. And I think we're still waiting to hear if CeeDee Lamb is back or not. But their secondary is going to have a lot on their plate this week. And it's going to come down to them, I think, to determine who actually wins this game. Should JJ McCarthy go out and perform the way that he did this past week, too. So there's a lot of things going on there. But that's kind of what the things that I'm looking at this moment in time.
Dak Prescott is playing like a top 5 quarterback in a lot of statistical categories. He has the most yards of anybody in the league. I think he's tied for second in touchdowns behind Matthew Stafford. Like if JJ McCarthy can win this battle, Reggie, if he can win in primetime against this team, against this quarterback, it would probably require him to win in a bit of a shootout because of the way Dallas can score. I guess we don't know how the Vikings defense will perform. I'm guessing a higher scoring game. That would be another first. If JJ McCarthy can win a shootout type game, that would be encouraging.
Yeah, that would be something, wouldn't it? And just putting the ball in his hands and just expecting him and then seeing him make play after play to keep up with the Cowboys. So to me, some of my storylines, Kevin O'Connell going against Matt Eberflus again, going back to their NFC North battles. Those games against the Bears were always weird, and even with Matt Eberflus, those Bears teams under him still got the best of Kevin O'Connell a few times. And so I think that's something that I'm interested to see what he dials up against Kevin O'Connell. And if Kevin O'Connell can finally get the offense going with some of the receivers. They paid all that money to Deron Bland before the season after they lost Micah Parsons, and he hasn't looked great. So I'm interested to see if Jets could take advantage of that and get open, and McCarthy actually see him and throw him the ball. And so I think that's going to be an interesting storyline. Also, look, I'm an old school St. Louis Rams fan, and I'm old enough to remember when Jeff Fisher hired Brian Schottenheimer as the offensive coordinator for the St. Louis Rams. And Brian Schottenheimer was the worst offensive coordinator I have ever seen. He called like the same 5 plays. Jeff Fisher just wanted to run the ball. So like that's why he got, Shotty was with Rex Ryan and the Jets back in the day. And so he's like, oh yeah, I like the ground and pound football that they play because apparently it's 1975. And so, yeah, I'm going to hire Brian Schottenheimer. And when Shotty wanted to get creative, he called the same play every time. Fake the reverse, drop back, hit Kenny Britt on a post. And if it didn't work, it was like, all right, next drive, though, I might call it again to try to get us a spark. And so, like, to see how dynamic this Cowboys offense is and how creative his system is just such a kind of a joy. Honestly, I was talking to my brother about it. We're kind of rooting for Shotty now because I'm like, dang, like, dude, you're so different than you used to be. And so that offense, he's got it humming. And George Pickens is coming off the Richard Sherman gate, if you will. Going back and forth with Sherm about his lack of effort in that game. So I'm sure he's going to be motivated to come out there and actually have a good game. He's probably going to try to hurdle Harrison Smith or something like that. So I'm interested to see all these storylines on Sunday night. And, the Cowboys against the Vikings, I think we're going back to 2019 when they won, and it was at Jerry World. Like, they have not played the Cowboys great, whether it's Zimmer's Vikings, Kevin O'Connell's Vikings, like, so, and especially in prime time, I've seen some beatdowns. And so I think that's something as well, that you just kind of want to see a competitive game for a change against the Cowboys.
Yeah, McCarthy's won a couple games on the road, prime time at Chicago, big game at Detroit. We'll see if he can do it again. Ron Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest one is going to be, I'm going back to stats. When you look at the way the Micah Parsons thing, let's stick with that. So in 2023, on first down, 175 passes the defense faced. That was the 8th least amount of passes on first down. 2024, 171. That was the 14th least. 202 passes on first down to the same point. 13 weeks into the season, that's the 3rd most. So what's that telling me? People aren't scared of what the Cowboys are going to do in the pass game anymore on first down. They're like, look, this is the best way to get some chunk yards. I think they're giving up about 6 yards per play on first down. So that's my storyline. I want to see, is Kevin O'Connell going to stick to the guns of keeping it simple on first down and attacking the defense? What do the Cowboys and Commanders do similar? On first down, they're giving you very vanilla looks. I'm seeing all kinds of reports. Kevin Seifert talking about Wes Phillips and, read progression and all this other stuff. At the end of the day, Kurt Warner said it best. There's a part of the field you read because it's open, and there's a part of the field you don't throw it to because the field is covered. Like, it's very simple. Like, and Kurt Warner, like, I don't think he was being a jerk, because people are now commenting on the Kurt Warner, he came over the top of Kevin Seifert. People are thinking Kurt Warner's like specifically saying JJ McCarthy. He's not. He's just saying sometimes you can make it too complicated for a quarterback when you don't need to have progression reads. Just read the coverage and then know the play. Like, you got double dig, single high safety, I'm coming to that second dig. 2 high safety, I'm taking the first dig. Like, it's pretty simple. If you got man coverage and you got double shallows, you're going to throw it to the one that gets picked. If you got zone coverage, you're going to throw it to the one that sits. It's simple. And that's where I think they're overthinking this. And that's my storyline, is like, I want to see, can the Vikings attack and stay simple on first down?
Reggie is, I'm sure, blindly defending Kurt Warner on this issue because he's a former Ram, right, Reggie? Like we established.
Oh
that
yeah,
yeah.
I
Rams.
love. Yeah, I love Kurt Warner and his break. I feel like I get smarter because he like really knows ball and he's like really passionate about the quarterback position. And I did read a little bit of that, Ron, this morning actually when I woke up. I was like, oh, Kurt replied to Kevin Seifert. Okay, because all these nerds on our beat, on our Vikings beat, you know, have really been getting a kick out of the pure progression stuff from, you know, that Wes Phillips commented on yesterday. So, you know, it is a fascinating conversation. You know, if you're a football novice or even just, you know, somebody who's really in tune to trying to figure out what you're seeing and trying to explain or figure out the process of, you know, what JJ McCarthy is doing out there. So it is interesting, but it's so funny like how Kurt Warner just came in and was just like, yeah, that's cute. That's all cute, but this is really what it is.
And before I get out of here, because I gotta take a kid and got a sick kid, got a kid without snow stuff. But here's where I go with my final thought on this one too before I get out of here. One, Harrison Smith, definitely first ballot Hall of Famer. Yes, top 10 Minnesota Viking of all time. I put him right up there with Paul Krause. And then my bold prediction, the Cowboys have given up 255 yards a game in the air. JJ McCarthy will get over 250. This is the game. It's coming.
Ooh.
It's coming.
I love it. That's a good way to go out. Thanks, Ron. Ron's got to bounce. We got one more segment. We'll talk about Harry the Hitman and the tears in the locker room next. All right, it was a brief pause, and we're back on the Squad Show. Yeah, Julia, tears after the game for Harrison Smith. He's year 14, and he still feels it the way that you would if it was game number 1. Like, it's like, and this is, I feel like he's gotten choked up before talking about football, talking about what it means to him, spending most of his adult life, almost all of his adult life in Minnesota with this organization. I think we're headed into the final 4 games. I mean, I think this year was a coin flip for him. We weren't sure we were going to get this season. The way that the season's gone, maybe a little bit of decline for the Hitman. I don't think it's been that obvious, but it feels like this is the swan song. That was probably his third to last home game ever for this team. He's feeling the feels right now, and it's heartwarming. It's sad that it could be ending, but just your thoughts on that kind of display of emotion on Sunday and what his legacy will be long term.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because he's very quiet, but he is he just has so much depth to him as a person, even though and I feel like maybe I'm reading into it too much, but the way he's been so much more open with media this year and like really wants people to understand where he's at and what he feels. And he wants Vikings fans to know that. I think that he wants them to understand that like how much it means to him, like being here. And I think you're right. I think maybe if they had a potential to win a Super Bowl next year, he might give it another go. But I think at this point, he's kind of probably looking at the season and thinking, all right, you know, like let's hang it up. But I think, I mean, he's been so crucial to, I mean, he's not obviously the most vocal leader on defense, right? Like, that's Josh Metellus' job, but it's his presence to the entire locker room that I think it kind of brings this calm to everything in a way. And I thought that was I didn't see that soundbite of him until Reggie put it in Vikings Extra on Sunday, and I was like, wow, that was really like cool to see, you know, and the way that he talks about the game that he obviously loves so much. I know it's probably a very emotional time for him. I think we're asking the questions asked in our show topics. Is he top 10 Viking of all time? I would say yes. I would put him up there just because what he's meant to this organization, him sticking around the way that he has. Obviously, you have other greats that are a little bit ahead of him in that sense, but I would put him top 10, top 15 Viking of all time. first ballot Hall of Famer, I would say no, just because safeties kind of have to be like generational talent for them to end up first ballot Hall of Famers. But I do think he will be in the NFL Hall of Fame. But yeah, I think we've seen a more sentimental side of him this season more than any other season that I've covered him before. And it's been refreshing to see. It's also a little bit sad. I know Vikings fans, obviously he means so much to them. So it'll be sad not to see him out there. But yeah, I do think we could potentially be seeing the last 4 games of his career.
I've got a suggestion, Reggie. An active Ring of Honor unveiling, like induct him on January 4th at halftime of the Packer game.
He's going to be in there. Might as well go ahead and do it.
What do you think?
No.
Get it done.
I don't think he would want to do it.
No, yeah, he's got some brothers that he probably would like to see them go up before he would. He was rocking Anthony Barr's whole like shirt. You know, they love each other. So, you know, it's interesting, Sam. So yeah, I would agree with Juju. I don't know that he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That'd be something if he was, but he's gonna get in. Like, he's got the first team All-Pro, second team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, 38 career interceptions. Like, he's been a guy that has been well respected, not just in the Vikings locker room and organization, but across the league for years now. Like, people know about Harry. Like, people know, like, back when they could like truly lay people out, like, he was laying people out across the middle. Like, he didn't get the hitman moniker for nothing. So it's just funny though. Like, I've covered Harrison Smith now this is the 5th Viking season that I've covered since I've been in Minnesota. And you could have told me each of the last like 3 seasons that he was going to be done after. And I would have been like, okay, yeah, I get that. I remember, like, when I first saw him tear up a couple seasons ago, I was like, oh, dang, like, this might be it. And then he came back. And then last year, I'm like, oh, man, like, he's tearing up. Cam Bynum's playing Boys to Men in the locker room. He's crying. Metellus is crying. Harry's crying. I was like, dang, I think this might be it. And then he came back again. So here's my take. Harry's gonna keep coming back until the Vikings say no thanks. I feel like he's just gonna keep coming back. Like, he's like, you know what? I'm sad. I feel like this might be the end. You know what? I got another one in me, like that Vince Carter meme. I think I got another one in me. And until the Vikings are like, you know what? That's okay. He's
good. Under contract. He's under contract for next year.
And what's crazy about it is, if Cam Bynum doesn't walk, and going back, if they hit on Lewis Seen, or maybe they draft Kyle Hamilton, maybe they have a different thought about Harrison Smith coming back. Like, it's a mutual beneficial deal. Like, Harry gets to continue to play the game he loves, and then the Vikings continue to get a guy that they actually need out there. But if they were able to hit on Seen, or maybe draft Hamilton in that draft that they took Lewis Seen, I think maybe things might be a little bit different regarding Harry. Or maybe they find a way to, maybe he's a box linebacker, or he plays the Metellus type role or something like that. If they do have a safety that they hit on, but because they haven't hit on a safety as his heir apparent, I think that kind of hurt things. And so they're like, yeah, Harry, you want to come back? He's like, yeah. 10 mil, 11 mil. Yeah, I'll take that check. Yeah, I'll be back.
They kind of need him. They do kind of need him next year. Theo Jackson hasn't worked out great. There's no one else really in the pipeline. Jay Ward, I mean, next year, if he's not back, they will have to replace him. This is not an Adam Thielen situation where you don't notice that he's gone. No offense, Adam Thielen. Hope you rediscover your love for football in Pittsburgh. Not bitter at all that you said that. Thank you for showing up today, everybody, and watching us, listening to us. That's Julia Daniels. That's Reggie Wilson. Care 11 Sports. Watch the newscast. Watch their coverage. It's excellent. And I'm Sam Ekstrom. Back tomorrow with Arif Hassan, Luke Braun, and Luke Inman on the Squad Show. Appreciate you commenting, subscribing, all that jazz here on Locked On Vikings. We'll talk to you next time.